Um, I'd like to say hello to everyone, and thank you for the invite. It is an honor to have um, the opportunity to say a few words about this project that we've been implementing in Kalamata. So our project is called Kalamata 1821 Roads of Freedom. And I will give you a short presentation of a part of our research program, which concerns the branding of Kalamata 1821. We like to say flavors and aromas of 21. So in order for everyone to understand what is 1821 and what is Kalamata, I'll give a brief intro. So 1821 for Greece is a very important year. It is the year of the commencement of the Greek Revolution against the Ottoman Turks. So we are coming up to the bicentennial. It is this year actually. So if it weren't for the COVID pandemic, it would be a very fun year and full of celebrations. Unfortunately, a lot of those things are going to be online. So it marks an important year for Greece and Greeks around the world.
Can you please put your sound a little bit louder or talk more closely to the microphone?
Me? Oh,
yes,
okay.
Please.
Okay. I'll come a little closer. Is this better?
Yes,
probably.
I think.
Okay. For anyone that didn't hear it, 1821 is the commencement of the Greek Revolution. So this year, Greece is celebrating the bicentennial of the Greek Revolution. In 2018, from the University of the Peloponnese and in particular from Kalamata, we began a research project that concerns the Greek Revolution and its commencement, especially in the city of Kalamata, which was the first city to be liberated, excuse me. The point of the project is to connect a historic event of such great importance with the culture at that time, with the heritage at the time, with architecture, with the economy, and different aspects of life in the early 19th century in Kalamata and Greece, and to make a connection with what the city is today and how the city is connected to its past and to its past at that important date. So among the deliverables of the project are some applications for smartphones and a digital museum, which actually opened a little bit before the second wave of the pandemic in Kalamata in Greece. A dramatized documentary film, which has finished its production and will be able to be viewed in the near future, depending on how things evolve around the health issues. And a third deliverable has to do with cultural events in the city of Kalamata. So we have the research community, we have cultural groups and teams in the city. We have a film that's being made, and our thought was, how can we make the whole city involved in this project, which has such great significance? So the way to connect everyone was to create a brand name for the city, and this brand name is Kalamata 1821. Through this brand name, eventually anyone can connect with the city and with its history, with its heritage, and with its culture today and yesterday. And how can we do that? We can do that from food. We can do that through music. We can do that through theater. We can do it through our schools. And eventually we create a network of people that are connected to their city, that are connected to their heritage, and can connect with different aspects of interest with people from around the world. So if somebody is interested in traditional music, they can find it here and they can connect with teams that dance, which give shows. And on the other side, if somebody is interested in cuisine, they can connect with the city here. They can taste food that has a traditional flavor that is connected with the heritage of the city. And we can see that through um, this endeavor that eventually that at one point everyone can find a common ground through our common heritage in the city. Um, Here we can see some images from things that took place mainly in the end of 2019 at the beginning of 2020 before the first lockdown. We had a chance to bring back some dishes and some foods from our history in the city and 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 um, and give a chance for people to meet and to taste things that they hadn't seen around for maybe even 50 years. We had a very specific food, for example, that a soup that was cooked here and it was a traditional plate until the late 1950s, maybe 1940s. Some people remembered it. And from this project, it came back. The recipe was cooked at an event that we had that was for tasting food from 1821, and people started asking for that specific dish in the restaurants that collaborate with the program and serve food from and dishes from the research program, and it led to producers in the area growing the specific ingredient. So it revived a part of the economy in all of the segments, from agriculture all the way to the final user, the person that actually
Consumer.
eats the food, the consumer. Yes, the consumer. Thank you. Here we see that our goal was to have the branding working through the whole month of March. And somebody might ask why March, because March is the month where the revolution began in Kalamata. So we want, instead of having one day of celebration, that we have a month of attractions for people to come and visit the city and find anything that they might want or need that has a connection to their heritage. It was it was a lot. It was going to be exciting, but unfortunately, more than half of it never took place. So some of the fundamentals that we tried to keep in our branding and to connect with the companies and with the businesses in the area, we had 4 logos for our branding. The blue was for hotels and travel agents in order to organize groups to come to the city and become part of the experience. We had green that was for restaurants that served food that had dishes from the program, from the recipes that the program gave to the businesses. The orange logo was for the producers that actually sell the traditional products, either that may be food products or that may be clothes or even bookstores that have books that have to do with the tradition and the heritage of the city connected to 1821. And red are all of the organizations that have to do with dance, with learning things that can make you part of all of the aspects and all of the activities that are going on in the city. Our fundamentals were to respect the tradition of the area and the tradition that surrounds 1821. We wanted to, for our collaborators to keep a specific quality in the services that they offer and in the products that they offer the people that visit them. We wanted to take advantage of the topography and have people not only visit the city of Kalamata, which is the star of the event, but also visit the villages that had a very important role in all of the events of the revolution, and then through this make people reinvent themselves in these villages and actually come back to them because they need more people coming in, people spending their money in the villages so that they can revive a little bit. Of course, we needed to adapt things to be part of the 21st century. And it was very important that everybody had a presentation of their part of what 1821 means to their business today. But the presentation has to continue to respect what the program means, what 1821 means to Kalamata and to Greece in general. Some of our campaigns included, especially for restaurants and for food tasting, because that was the main attraction that brought the other businesses together. It was the common point. Our branding campaign had specific posters so that people can know that this business is part of the collaboration. We have campaigns on social media, through our websites, through the company's websites, the businesses' websites. And the whole point was we don't just want somebody to go and say, well, I had this scrambled eggs that they ate in 1821 with tomato, but to know why they're eating them. So when somebody visited the restaurant, we have this communication with the owners and the chefs to understand that when they actually serve the food or give some stories about the food. And we did that through giving them actual references from the bibliography, where we had travelers coming to Kalamata and the region in the early 18th century, 19th century and late 18th century. And they talked about eating with the locals then. So we actually tell them why it is that we're serving these eggs with tomato and with smoked ham and not something else. The branding had a number of events. Most of them were around food and lodging, and mainly food. It was food is the factor that brings us all together. So while eating and drinking, we have a better mood and people connect. And we had two big events with a chef school in the area, a local chef school that actually thought of they were inspired from the bibliography that we gave them and created the dishes that we later on gave to the companies that wanted to collaborate and to the businesses that wanted to collaborate with the program. So we tried a lot of food, we drank the local wines, and it was a very nice experience. Businesses were very happy to be part of it. They felt that it was a way for the whole city to connect through something that every resident of Kalamata knows, that okay, the revolution began in Kalamata and we have an event every year, but that's it. And through this 2-year, 3-year program, they actually connected with each other and found that everybody actually has a story or a family member or an heirloom or a recipe or a product that can bring them together and then make the city come out to the rest of the world as this common denominator that is 1821 and the branding for 1821. So thank you. I hope it was interesting. And if there are any questions.
I think that it was a very nice presentation and a very complete presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you representing the city of Kalamata, or where do you work for?
Um, well, I work at the University of the Peloponnese. We are the head of the research, the, uh, the, the research group that is in front of this program, but it is a collaboration between the University of the Peloponnese, the film producing company that made the film, and also the city of Kalamata. So we we all go out together to the world as part of the program. So it's the official program for 1821 in Kalamata.
Thank you very much, Vaya and Celia, of course. I already have expressed my, my admiration for this project. I like it very much. And it's also a nice way to blend history, which is my discipline, to tourism and to everyday life. It's not just the monuments, it's also the living traditions, it's the remembrances, it's history which has to be around us if we want to have really deep roots in our communities. Thank you very much again.
What I like is also that the restaurants explain why they use the food and so on, because I can imagine that people or restaurants make the food what they eat in the older days, but yeah, to explain and to get a whole complete uh,
This
explanation,
is,
I think
yes.
that is great. Yeah,
This
yeah,
is great because, for example, in touristic places like Greece, we have many recipes that are termed traditional. For
yeah,
example,
yeah,
traditional
yeah,
Greek moussaka. Well, Greek
yeah, yeah,
moussaka is definitely an invention of the 20th century. We had the Turkish recipe of moussaka with eggplants and minced meat, etc.
yeah,
And but this is not topped by bechamel sauce. The addition of the bechamel sauce on top and cheese and everything is an invention of Greek chefs of the 20th century. So
yeah,
if
yeah.
we really want to talk about traditional food, we should go back and cook with the traditional, not only recipes, but also the traditional ingredients, which is important. I'm
Yeah.
not against fused cuisine and you know, advancements, but if you want really to use the term traditional, you have to be very careful what you're talking about. And I think this project really makes us think. I'm sure that in all countries you have these issues. So
If I may add something, it was
yes,
really interesting doing the research and searching all the travelers that have been here in the area during the late 18th, early 19th century. What exactly did they taste? For them, what was the Greek food at the moment? The ingredients, how they, if they liked or not, what everything was really interesting and was an aspect that nearly no one is searching for this historical times. Usually everyone is trying to see what happened with the revolution and why and who did that or the other, and no one is trying to see how the everyday life was. So it was really, really interesting to see how these things were at the time.
yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Moraes unfortunately had to go, but he sent me his presentation. Yeah,
Aphrodite, and sorry, but Veronica wants to say something.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I was wondering, you have these brand labels, but you chose deliberately to work with 4 different colors. But if you're an outsider, you don't know that red means, now I say dancing and orange is eating. So why insist on different colors?
That's a very good comment. Well, initially we did that in order to separate the different uh, the different parts because they actually couldn't understand, the businesses themselves couldn't understand where they fitted in. So by grouping them, they could talk among themselves and find their common ground. If we had them all together, because in the beginning they were all together, it was very difficult for them to communicate. So a restaurant could not communicate very easily with a dance studio. They said, I have nothing to do with these people. Why are we together? And only when we separated them and we tried to be the factor that connected them in the network did they start to understand how we could all work together. And it was easier for people in the city to understand that this is food, this is dance, this is a service. But as the program moves on and progresses, it might be that we will have one label recognizable for people to understand.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. Rosa.
Rosa wants to say
You have to
something.
put on the microphone, Rosa. Rosa.
Vale.
Microfoon.
Sí, está. Me gustaría saber si ha tenido mucha repercusión, si han ido muchos turistas o hay muchas visitas por la zona a raíz de este proyecto. Martín, por favor.
Rosa is asking about the success for attracting tourists of the
If there
project.
has
had a good attraction, tourist attraction.
Well, unfortunately, we didn't have the chance to test it because 2020 was going to be our testing year, the first application of all of these thoughts. We only had the chance to do a few events in the beginning of March. We had a very good come out from villages and close by cities. It is important, though, that the travel agents, the big travel agents in the city, were trying to put together groups and bring them to Kalamata, but other things came in the way with the pandemic. And an important factor is before the second lockdown, we already had a communication with one of the biggest travel agents in Kalamata who wanted the program for this year because there were people that wanted to come, but then everything closed down. So hopefully our goal is to do many of these things during the summer where traveling will be allowed again instead of March.
Okay. And after all, the Greek War for Independence lasted for 8 years, so it's not just for the 1 year. We're planning for a decade ahead for these things.
Ευχαριστώ, Vaya.
Okay. If there are no more questions, unfortunately, something occurred and Mr. Moraros had to leave, but he sent me his presentation. It's a brief presentation, and I think it's a good lead to our last more theoretical presentation about stakeholders, because it is about the Olive Oil Museum of Gazea, which is run by a local NGO. So we can see how people, local communities can respond to their desire to maintain their heritage. Just let me share my screen for a moment. Gazea is Ano Gazea is a small village in the region of Pilion. Pilion is